We're going to continue on with our discussion of volume. Volume, in case you're looking for it in your book, comes in section 10.4. So it's the other half of 10.4. We're going to look at all the same figures we did for surface area, the prism, the cylinder, cone, and sphere, but we're going to look at volume. Remember from the previous video, volume is just simply the total number of cubic units it takes to fill a space. Two choices. One, we can count the cubes individually, but that isn't terribly efficient. So we're going to start out with our prism. Let's draw ourselves a prism here. And if you recall, our prism was 5 centimeters across, 2 centimeters high, and 3 centimeters deep. This is the same prism we were looking at in the previous video. When we looked at this, I had mentioned that my 4-year-old daughter would probably just count the 30 individual blocks. My son, being a little bit more advanced because he's in 2nd grade, might count 1 layer of 15 and then double it, seeing that he had 2 layers of it. You all, being even more advanced, recognize the fastest way of doing this would be to take 5 times 3. Okay, so take 5 times 3, that gives you the bottom layer, and then multiply by 2 because that's how many layers you have. I mentioned how in the rectangular prism, so these are cubic centimeters. In the rectangular prism, this is going to work every time. Length times width times height. And we'll check out your formula sheet where you actually have this formula for the volume of a right rectangular prism. However, we have other prisms. We have triangular prisms, octagonal prisms, hexagonal prisms. So we want to come up with a general formula. Because the reason that length times width times height works, let's think about what length times width gives us. When you multiplied the length times the width, which was the 5 times the 3, think about what you were calculating. You were dealing with the 2-dimensional rectangle. And when you take length times width, what you're really doing is calculating the area. So we can be a little more general and say we're going to calculate the area of the base. That's how we get just the 1 layer. Okay? And then when we multiply by the height of the figure, that's how we bring in that 3rd dimension. So we're going to use this area of the base times the height of the figure to be our general formula for volume of any prism. In class, we're going to look at a couple different examples of some prisms and calculating the volume. In the next video, however, we're going to go through cylinders, cones, and spheres just to get the formulas down.